Hi there, welcome to Belfast Mini Mills. I'm Troy Martin, the mill manager here, and I just wanted to bring something new to you as part of our collaboration with the online International Fiber Festival. So here at Belfast Mini Mills, we are not only a yarn producer in Belfast, Prince Edward Island in Canada, if you're one of our international viewers, but we're also the manufacturers of the cottage-sized milling equipment used in producing yarn. Our mini mill equipment is of a size and price point in which small producers of wool, so sheep farmers, for example, are able to afford the equipment to then produce their own yarn and other fiber products. So here at Belfast Mini Mills, we make a total of 34 machines, or we have 34 schematics for machines. We make a number of sizes of a couple different machines, and we make different versions of other machines. So the mill that we have here not only is our production mill, but it's our training mill for our new customers that are looking to buy some of our equipment. So what I'd like to do is give you a little tour of our production mill that we generally give out to our summer in-store customers. So that way you can get kind of a little touch of the island when you're not able to get to us during these times. So here is our Baku Room here at Belfast Mini Mills. Please forgive some of the open windows and raw insulation. We're in the middle of renovating our mill. So this is where the beginning of everything that we do here starts. So when we get raw fiber in from local farmers or whoever wants to sell it to us, what we'll do here is we'll bring it back into this room, skirt the fleeces, so that way we're moving all the burdocks, any pieces of wool that have too many tar tips, those kinds of things. After skirting the fleece, the first thing that we'll do is we'll wash the fiber. So the washing machine that we build here has a number of different cycles, so that way you can choose which cycle will work best to clean your fiber. This particular fiber here, we're just basically dissolving the lanolin and some of the dirt out of it before we spin it out, and then we'll move on to the next process. So after we are finished washing the fiber, we let it dry on our drying rack. After the fiber has been dried, then we put it through our picker, another video up on your screen now, of how the picker works. So basically the picker is just a number of wheels with a bunch of spikes on it that pulls apart the fibers. So if you were a hand spinner, what you'd be doing is pulling apart the locks before you start carding them. And this helps release some of those tar tips. It also helps knock out some of the sand that obviously can't be dissolved out of the wash, and that ends up on the floor of our kitchen. So you'll see here, again, the machine working. I'm putting through some navy superwash is one of our big things here, is our superwash yarn. And you'll see it's flying into this room as a big pile of fluff. So this is only a few pounds of wool that we've put through. We'll be filling up this room later on. And after this step, if we're going to dye the yarn, then we will dye the yarn in the dye vat, which is behind me here. You might be able to see steam coming out of it. I'll put a quick video up of what's currently in there that's dyeing. And what we'll do is we'll dye the wool. Then we'll put it on our racks again to dry. And then depending on the fiber, we will then pick it once more, so that way we can remove any bits and pieces that might have felted slightly. We can separate those pieces before moving on to the next step. So now this is the next step. So I think that this piece of machinery is perhaps the most interesting one that we have here at Belfast Mini Mills, since all of the other machines that we have is just a scaled down version of a machine that already exists in a commercial mill. But this one is a little unique as we designed this one from the ground up. This is our fiber separator, is what it's officially called, but we like to call it the dehairer here in our mill. And what it does is it separates the fiber. So by the different uses of card cloth, the different diameters of the drums that we make here, we're able to make it so that way fibers that are too coarse will fall down beneath into the collection bin down here. Anything that's too short will also fall down because it's not able to make the distance between the drums. And anything that's too long has the tendency to wrap around the drums. Which in some cases, like alpaca, which is what I'll be putting through here later on today, what it tends to do. So we have to clean the drums quite often. And what happens is that things like the vegetation that might stay in, guard hairs from double-coated animals like alpaca or dog hair is one of the big things that we do here, Samoyed dog hair. Those bits and pieces that we don't want will fall down under the machine, and all the things that we do want will make its way through the machine out the back. So the waste that is in that comes out of this machine can be reused. It can be used as fill for like dog beds and different things like that, assuming you're not using dog fibers. Or you can even use our other machines to make thin felt sheets for landscape felt to cover your garden, so that way bugs and other things don't get in and it keeps the moisture in. So the fiber separation step happens when it best suits the fiber. So if we are taking in a raw fleece or an alpaca fleece or something like that, we'll simply wash the fleece and then pick it and then dehair it and then move on to the next steps. Or if we're going to dye something in the raw wool before carding it, the next step after the dehair, then we'll actually dehair it first, then dye it, let it dry, pick it, and then bring it on over to the carder. So this is our carder. This is our large carder. We make a number of different sizes of certain machines. So we make a double-sized fiber separator like the one that I've shown you. We have a smaller one. This is our large carder as well. We have 2 of them in our mill. We also make a smaller version. So the carder does what you would expect a carder to do. It cards the fiber. If you're not sure what carding means, it's just what hand spinners do with those big brushes that comb the fibers together, or brush the fibers is what I should say. Combing's something a little bit different. So this comb brushes all the fibers in one direction, and then with this machine we can make a number of different products come out the back end. This is probably our most versatile machine, and it's usually one of the machines that our customers get first. As our machines are all sold modularly, you can buy the individual machines that you need to run the business that you want to run. So the carder here, as I mentioned, brushes all the fiber. You'll have a picture up on your screen here now of this next step. The last thing that happens during the whole process is the doffer, that's that black drum that's there, and the comb removes the finished combed fibers off of the main drum, and then the comb removes it off the doffer and makes a wide, thin sheet of wool or whatever fiber that you're working with. And we call that long, thin sheet the web. So that web is used to make a number of different products. So it can wrap around the green drum, like I'm showing you in this video, to make a batting. We can also attach our wrapped yarn maker to the side of this machine and thread up a core thread. So instead of the web wrapping around the drum, it'll wrap around that core thread to make a wrapped yarn, like a big bulky yarn. And then finally, the most common product that we're making out of the machine is our roving, which comes out of this roving deck. I've got another video up here on the screen now, so you can see the roving coming out of the machine. This is perhaps the most versatile product that we make here, because this roving can be sold as is for needle felters or for hand spinners, or we can move it on to the next step to spin it. So this is our draw frame. It's basically a pin drafting machine. It's able to combine multiple rovings into one, stretch them out to make them a little bit longer, and that makes it more even for us to spin later. You'll notice that the machine has stopped. That's because we have a sensor in the back that when the roving breaks or ends like it just did, the machine will stop itself. The next step here in the process is spinning. You might notice wardrobe change. It's a different day. Don't laugh at me, Simone. So this is our spinner. This is our lace weight spinner. We make 2 different types of spinners, and in each of these we make 3 different sizes. So this is the largest size, the 12 spindle, and that's counted by the spindles across the front, of course. We also make a 4 spindle and an 8 spindle for smaller operations. And what we do is after we take the roving from the draw frame, the roving is attached through the back, and then this set of rollings moves slower than this set of rollers. So it's kind of like a hand spinner hand spinning, so it's our drafting here. So the roving gets stretched between these 2 wheels since this one's moving faster than this one, and it comes out a thin thread. So you'll notice that this roving is quite a bit thicker than this single thread here. And then it comes down, gets fed through a sensor, and then through a little piece of plastic. We call that the traveler. This replaces the flyer on the spinning wheel here, and this is what's actually doing the spinning. Once I turn the machine on here for you, you'll notice that the traveler basically disappears because it's moving so quickly. So you might have noticed those red lights that were on turned off, and now they're back on again. All those lights are sensors, so if any individual strand there were to break, the sensor will read that and turn the machine off, so that way we don't have one spindle making a huge mess. A lot of our machines have these auto shut off features, but it's not the type of feature that you can like turn the machines on and then go to the nearest coffee shop to have a coffee. You want to keep an eye on the machines. So now we're getting into some of the final steps of making our yarn. So what you'll see up here is a number of bobbins of yarn here. This is actually that Samoyed dog hair that I told you about there earlier. This is a run that's going to be going into our own store, and it's going to be one of our featured products on our store. So this is what we're doing is we're attaching all of the bobbins up here. We're taking 3 strands per We're taking 3 strands and attaching it to each of the wheels here for it to be fed down into the bobbins there. They're strung up in exactly the same way as the spinner, but I'll show you here up on the screen now of the bobbins working. And what happens is that we're just taking those 3 strands, in this case for a 3-ply, spinning them in the opposite direction, or plying them in the opposite direction to be more exact, so that way we can make a yarn. And now if we look at this, it actually starts to look like yarn now. You might notice there off to the front there, I've got a few bobbins there. Those are to show you the sizes of the bobbins. So the brown ones on the bottom, those are our small bobbins. Those go on our lace weight spinner. And then the tall bobbins, those are the bobbins that go onto this machine to ply on. And they are the regular size bobbin for a regular machine. The large bobbins can hold almost 3 times as much as the small bobbins. So in this case, since I'm using small bobbins up here and they're going to be moving onto a big bobbin down there, I don't have to do a bobbin change here. All 3 of these bobbins can fit onto one of the larger ones. The last step of the process is to skein it off. So it takes a few steps for that. What we'll do is we'll take it off the plier, attach it to our cone winder here and wind off cones. This one works quite quickly. Once this has been wound off onto this cone, we'll take that cone and put it to the other end of our steam tube. And we'll blast the strand through the steam tube using a blast of forced air and cone it up a second time on the cone winder behind me. It moves at a slower speed, and what's happening here is that it is dragging the yarn through our steam tube, setting the twist, and then coning it a second time. So that way we can attach it to our skein winder. You'll see a little video up in the corner of it working, and it's just winding off skeins. So we set it to how many yards that particular batch needs to be, and hit start, and once it hits 245, 250 yards for a worsted weight, then it stops itself. And we tie them off, and then we will go to the actual last step, is where we wash the yarn one more time and dry it. Once it's dry, we tag it and put it in the store. Can you hear her? Can you hear her from here?
She's purring so loud.
Yeah. Oh, it is good too. So this is Shadow, our milk cat. She's 17. She doesn't owe anybody anything, so we just give her cuddles whenever we have a moment. I hope you enjoyed our little tour of our mill and our tour mascot. Oh, sorry, Katie, I didn't mean to spit in your face. If you want to see our store tour, we have that on our podcast, the Worsted Fiber Podcast. You can find us on YouTube and on Instagram. And you can also find us on Facebook. You can find our main business, Belfast Mini Mills, on Facebook, on Instagram. Yeah, we love seeing people tag things that they've made with our yarn. So we'd love to see what you guys are able to create during this time. I hope you enjoyed our little slice of PEI here in this little tour. You guys have a great day. Yeah. Thank you. Oh.